Welcome to Curate Your Career, a museum career podcast about staying, leaving, and everything in between. I'm Elin Philby, museum educator turned career coach.
And I'm Alli Shell, career coach specifically for museum professionals. And we're here to talk about all the messy, exciting, and sometimes confusing parts of working in museums.
Each week, we'll share stories, real advice, and quick wins to help you figure out your next move, whether that's staying, leaving, or just making your current job work better for you.
So let's dive in, because if there's one thing museum professionals are great at, it's overthinking. We're here to help you think smarter, not spiral. So take a breath and let's get started. Right. Welcome back, everybody. I wanted to start this off with a question for you, Elin, which is, what is your favorite museum gift shop?
It's like, Allie, it's like asking me to pick my favorite child. It's a hard one. I think for me, it is the gift shop at the National Museum of Mexican Art in Chicago. Every time I go there, I spend way too much money, like way too much money. It's so good. It is a lot of like handmade items from Mexico that they bring in and local artists as well. So it's a really, really good one.
What's your favorite thing that you've gotten, either from that gift shop or another museum gift shop?
That's a really good question. When I lived in DC, National Gallery of Art, who also has a really great gift shop in the basement, they had this really cool color wheel watch. And I bought a color wheel watch. It was very cool. It was kind of hard to tell the time on because like it was like, okay, what color is it? But it was so beautiful and just like a really cool like museum piece and, you know, a nod to the art. What about you, Al?
You know, I was debating in my brain because I'm someone that loves a tangible gift shop. So immediately, because I'm in the Philadelphia area, I'm going to the Franklin Institute because there's so many things that I can touch and play with in there, obviously, former museum educator. But I have to give another local place a shout out, which is Longwood Gardens. It is just like a beautifully curated space. I don't think I actually ever buy anything in there. I just walk around and think about it. But they sell plants and native plants, and it's a beautiful gift store, which is very apropos for Longwood Gardens. And while I love a good postcard from a museum, I have quite a few that I've like framed and stuff. I think I have to go with the time that I believe it was the Louvre. I got a reproduction of one of Marie Antoinette's bracelets. It's not like anything original.
That sounds cool.
Probably spent like $25 on it, to be real, because this was way back. But
It's like sparkly and
it has like gold rose, like a pressed metal with like not real pearls within it. I'll have to find it. It's in my closet. I think I still have it. This has been very painful because who we have here and why we are talking about gift shops is because in the background, waiting ever so patiently, wanting to jump in and talk about the things that we're discussing, is our friend Melody, who does all things gift shops. So I'm going to let Melody introduce herself and share all your favorite museum gift store things.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm Melody Caban. I get to enter through the gift shop as a job, which is really fun. I'm a museum store consultant, and I get to partner with all sorts of museums. I want to answer that question first. I feel like every museum store I go to becomes my favorite. So it changes all the time. But man, do I love a good mug, like a good fun mug, like just something fun and quirky to remember and take that with me each day. Love it.
I'm like, do I have a mug?
as I have my museum mug here on my desk.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking. I have one somewhere, but it's not on my desk. Usually it's my pen holder.
Right? That's why I have my
If I could expand my kitchen, it'd be for more mugs.
museum mugs.
You might start a museum gift store mugs. So
Heck
that could be future job. Melody, I just have to know, because I think I speak for probably the whole field in saying we all love a museum gift store. So how did you get here? How do you get to be a consultant with museum gift stores and live out everyone's dream?
Yeah. Who knew, first of all? I did not know that this was a path you could choose. I started out getting an art history degree, and I used to joke that I was a failed curator because you don't know any other jobs when you're a student other than curator, maybe one or two other jobs. And so when I first was getting my foot into museums, I landed in a museum store. and fell in love. It's strategy, it's business, it's creativity, it's museums. And I have carved a path there and created this museum store world in it that I just fell in love.
I love this. And I think this is such an important topic to talk about because I got inspired. Of course, I follow Melody on LinkedIn, and you should all too, because Melody posts some really fun museum tour data and of course just fun sharing fun posts from other museums when they upload stuff, but also some just really good thoughts as a thought leader in the field. But why this specifically sparked my interest to do this podcast is Melody put this post up, and am gonna kind of paraphrase it, but I want to read some of it because I think it's really important because it rocked my world and really put me in a different mindset about museum, gift store work, retail work in museums, and so much more. So thank you, first of all, for sharing this thought because you were going to be a guest on this podcast anyway, but I think this is going to be a really important topic. And then feel free to chime in, Melody, because I really want to hear your voice. So basically, Melody had posted that if you are on Reddit or not on Reddit but want to be, there is a subreddit called Museum Pros, which is a great gathering place of museum professionals asking really good questions. And I think all of us are Redditors that probably lurk in that group. But Melody had said that there was a post that asked, is a retail shop job, quote, considered a serious, air quotes, role in the museum, whether front of house or entry level? And was it valued on a resume? And Melody, what was the collective answer?
Collectively, no, a big old no. It was really doing unpaid work would be better, doing anything else would be better than front of house work.
And you know what? I had realized that through my own subconscious just thoughts about the types of roles in museums, right? I had kind of just pushed aside in my brain when even when I come with my weekly posts, sometimes I will share museum gift store roles. Sometimes I will value, for lack of a better word, other roles in museums. And your post was like, you know what? You are absolutely right. There is so much value. And I think it just trickles down to like an overall mindset in the field that really needs to be shifted. I would love to hear more, not just about this post, but your thoughts. So share with me a little more
Well,
about this post and your reaction to it and what you think. So I know you got
yeah,
thoughts.
what's funny is that I wrote this post and then thought, do I post this or not? It's a rant for me. I'm sure I don't know if other people are going to connect with it. And people really connected with it. I heard from everybody who this was their first job. They worked in a cafe, in the store. Maybe they're not in museums anymore, but that always had an impact in them, or they wish they could have been in museums after that. And it was so magical to see that impact that all these jobs that aren't valued really added value to these people's lives and to museums, period.
Do you want to know how many likes as of today you have on this post?
How many?
58 and 29 reposts and 71 comments.
Oh my God.
Just to show if you don't shy away from posting your thoughts because
Yes.
the field needs to hear it. And so thank you so much again. Elin, do you have any thoughts? Because I know them.
Yeah, no, I remember seeing this post too, and then the subsequent follow-up comments about like the white collar versus quote unquote blue collar aspects of museum work, of like security, front of house, gift shop, like versus the people who have office jobs, basically.
So you mentioned a bunch of transferable but also really valuable skills, Melody, when sharing the things that you got out of working in a museum gift store. So can you go further in depth about the value of a museum gift store role and what are some of the skills needed for it? Just quick overview.
Yeah. I mean, I think when anyone who goes into museum store knows it, but might not think about it when they're stepping away and looking at it. But it's that conflict resolution, verbal communication, having those interpersonal skills, working with merchandising, how to put a display together, how to put items out. You're working with really getting to know museum visitors and staff in a way that other people don't. Their loves, their hates, they happily share hates with all front of house staff, right? we know why that exhibit didn't work. And you told
Mhm.
us
Mhm.
all these different pieces. And it really is a valuable piece. Know Your Bone says that if you visit the shop, even if you don't buy anything, you're more likely to come to the museum within a year. And
Really?
we all know how much we spend to get people to come back to the museum. You're doing this just by having people come by the shop and have that final experience.
Hmm.
That is such a great statistic. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty true.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's really that final connection where you're putting everything together. I like to call the store the final exhibit. That if you're just doing it right, it's the final exhibit, tying everything together, and you go in there, you get the warmth, the understanding, the staff. You've got questions, they've got those answers for you. You don't have to leave uh, wondering. You can connect with those folks. You can enjoy this third space to kind of simmer in and enjoy the mission, and then be able to take it.
I think of it as like a decompression space for me too,
Yeah.
because it's approachable, right? And for me, I think I get overstimulated in museums a lot of times. And even though, yes, a museum store can be overstimulated, it's a different kind for me. And so I think just for me at the end, or even, of like walking around the museum and experiencing things, just getting to like unwind and look at fun things.
Yeah. Like you said in the garden store, it's just like so nice to just walk around and take it in.
Mhm.
Well, who are you most likely interacting with in terms of like other roles as a museum gift store person? So typically, like, who are you working with in a museum?
Really, I'd say it depends on the museum. If you're siloing this museum store, which we see a lot of the times, where we've all walked into the store and been like, what does this have to do with the museum? I don't think it's seen the museum yet. But for those that are connected, they're working with education, being there, what books are they using? Programs are they having? They're working with membership. A lot of times you're renewing memberships in the store. You're getting that discount and retaining people. All the other front of house folks, you're just all interconnected in what's happening, who's coming in, the events of the day. And, you're working with curatorial and all of the behind the scenes staff because you're planning the store for months, sometimes years ahead of these products coming in, right? So it really is impacted by everyone. If we win, everybody wins, and vice versa.
I always feel like front of house, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, always have such a pulse on the
Yeah.
museum visitor, on what people are looking for. Just like you were saying, even with gift shops as well. And I know from my time working in a larger museum, uh, I just always felt like that they were not valued, which is no surprise to you. But I knew like you guys see the day to day, like you should be included in more conversations and things. So, what is like a wish you have for this type of position? Like, where do you envision museum gift store going, or what would you like to see?
Yeah. I mean, for me, the museum store, it can't be a silo. Like we can't be thrown to the side that add-on or that the just that piece that doesn't is just an afterthought. It can't do that anymore. But for me, the dream is for people to actually have a seat at the table. So sure, like the manager, the buyer, even they sometimes don't have a seat at the table. But having that staff, they know so much about your catalogs that are selling, getting that information out. If you want to know how things are doing, include them in there. If you don't want to know how things are doing, you're not going to be growing. You're not going to be doing better. Yeah. That's really my dream to have museum stores to have a seat at the table so they can be included with the entirety of the museum. Just like visitor services, which is often paired with them, having that
Mhm.
whole front of house staff valued and be a part of the experience will make it better for all the visitors, all the planning. I mean, there's many of folks that have said, we told them this wouldn't work. They went ahead with it, but they didn't listen. You're going to save yourself a lot.
And then the front of house staff has to deal with the fallout.
That's true. True.
Elin, you've worked in front of house too, right? Yeah.
Yep, for many, many, many years I did. And I'm a people person, I'm an extrovert, so I loved it because I love interacting with people. What I didn't love was how I felt that I was perceived by other staff.
Mhm.
So let's talk about that a little bit because I think that's a really important mindset shift that we need to do in this field overall, and also for people that have worked in those roles, are going to work in those roles, currently in those roles, feeling like, how do I go on from here? How do I get other museum jobs? Or even
Mhm.
how do I like get a job outside the field. So walk me through a little more, Melody, what you think are like great transferable skills, and also why you think this should be valued more as part of
Yeah.
a
And
museum career pathway.
there's so many pieces here that are transferable to store when it comes to, like I said, communication, conflict resolution, interpersonal skills. So many of these pieces, understanding sales. I can see you moving into development, moving into membership, other departments that in that. If you're passionate about merchandising and the telling the story of it in a store, those beautiful winter and holiday displays. I love them. They're gorgeous. That kind of thing that happens in stores. Maybe you're going to exhibit design and taking that in that direction.
I never even thought about that.
So there's a lot of different ways you can transfer those skills. We know that it's harder to hire front of house people. They were saying in the AM snapshot that 23% of museums are having trouble hiring front of house. What if we just, yeah, like we've been talking about, thought about it a different way and saw that as opportunities to really have people invest in front of house, be part of the museum as a whole, and grow with them.
Also, you provided professional development opportunities to front of
Yes.
house staff too.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. You want to have that diversity of thought, diversity of
Yes.
background, and have more staff. They're right there. Your entry level staff is the most diverse, period.
Mhm.
What are you going to do with that? It's the ball's in your court, museums.
Yeah.
It's a pipeline in and
Yep.
the way to get into a lot of museum roles, and that's where the inequity starts. That's where disillusionment starts. And yeah, I think that would solve a lot of potential issues. Being more thoughtful and giving people a voice and feeling valued in a
Yeah.
very valuable role. Probably one of the most essential roles, I would say, in a museum.
Well,
Hmm.
because if you think about it, when somebody reviews a museum, sometimes they'll talk about, oh, this exhibit was bad or the layout was bad. But if they have a bad experience, usually it's front of house that is hearing about it, dealing with it, hopefully not causing it, but sometimes it's like, oh, this ticket person was so mean or not
Yeah.
helpful or whatever. And so it's the front of house is truly the face of your museum. And
Yeah.
by investing in them and really developing them, that can be a huge, huge win for your museum.
Hmm.
Especially when they're selling the memberships, like you were saying,
Yes.
right? You're like
Yes,
you are
exactly.
development.
Yes.
Do you guys do you like revenue? This is the entryway to earned revenue. Yeah.
Well, and you got me thinking again, most of my career has been small museum life. So that means I was the one front of house, gift shop, giving the tours, all the things.
Okay.
But the few times that I did work, and I'm thinking of one role specifically, I remember I worked a lot with our gift shop manager at the time, again, because I see value in every person in the museum that I work with, because anyway, that's just my mindset. But in particular, here are some ways that I worked with our gift shop person. And I would love for you to like weigh in and share some thoughts too. As someone doing
Mhm.
public programs in a space, most first and foremost, a lot of our programs were centered around like author talks and books. I'd be working directly with them to source the books, to source the authors. They would be coming to event planning meetings. We would be also pairing, like I did adult programming as well. So it would be pairing gift shop items with certain things going on in the museum. And then, of course, exhibitions and programming around that. And I love working with our gift shop person. I love going in there in that space, which is always so fun, but also hearing their ideas. And I unfortunately, like, I think burnout just happens. And I think that person just was struggling in that role because they did not have a seat at the table. So would love to
Mhm.
hear a little more from you too about maybe ways that you've worked with other staff, like your own personal experience in the value to
Yeah.
bring.
It's funny because for me, I do things a little differently where I really do work holistically. Like most folks are surprised to get a call from me at the museum store, consultant, museum store in the museum. There's like no one has called before. We don't know how we're connected. So connecting those dots has been a big deal to get that support across the museum and working with education and planning ahead, getting them discounts. Heck, you can get discounts and freebies as being in museum retail that they can't get. Getting those items that are just exclusive for small stores or working with membership and development to create exclusive things, whether higher end members, different members, limited edition stuff, things that make people excited to join and, actually be thought of. Really just working with curators. I've had many curators go, I wish I had that book while I was planning the exhibit. I didn't know that existed. And
Oh
buying those books
god.
after, right? It's just bringing all that stuff in.
I think you ended up being the curator. You didn't think that you ended up you weren't a curator in a museum. I think you ended up being a little bit of a curator.
The dream come true.
It came true. So, and then, all right. So you held obviously roles in museums and then decided to start this business. So for other people, right, who just thinking about career stories would love to hear how that transpired, how you made those decisions, even sharing a little bit more about your time in museums and then transitioning out, but still
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, exactly. One foot out, one foot in. That's what's really fun about it because I get to partner with all those stores I mentally created, right? I wish I had a science museum. I wish I had this museum. I get to do them all now. I work with science, art, cultural, retail, gardens. I get to go in there and work with all these sorts of museums and be that person that gets to dream big and do strategy and business and then go off to solve something new. I'm almost 20 years in this industry, which every time I update that number, I'm like shocked.
Don't think about it
But
too hard.
yeah, exactly. Glazing over that. So I've worked in it for a long while, working in museums and working at art museums, aviation museums, a little bit of everything. I like to get obsessed about whatever I'm working in. And I realized I had consulting for many years without even putting a name on it. I'm that person who like people will call for tech or point of sale updates, information about trends, all these different things in museums. And I'm just being really helpful. I'm really what makes me excited about retail and really putting a name that I'm actually making an impact in far more museums that I'm working in and realizing that I could do consulting. I could consult and be able to help and make an impact across museums. And now I'm able to work nationally and internationally, which is super exciting.
All started with just that first job.
Exactly. Who knew that this route would take it? I got a degree in art history, and looking back, it really has helped me all this way. I with writing, with storytelling, with looking deeper, making those connections. All of these pieces are part of what I do with museums and do with consulting to bring the story together. I like to say I help bring profit and purpose back to stores. So it's not a generic store, it's something that really delights people. So yeah, it's something I can talk all day about. Love it.
What is a favorite museum store project that you've gotten to work on? I want to know. I want to
Ooh.
know all the little fun details.
Like, ooh, let's see. I worked on a brand new store that was in Miami. And so I got to bring in really the whole feel of the store and having these more modern pieces with the contemporary modern. And also they're going to be the first FIFA museum. So we're working with FIFA at the same time internationally and bringing those projects in. So it was super, super fun to work with. Yeah, it's just fun to be able to go in and almost bring excitement to the folks in the museum about this topic. I'm going in raw, super excited, and folks maybe who had no idea. It could be their headache. This could be that piece that they didn't want to take on because it's a whole different subject than what they're used to, right?
Mhm.
But I can come in and I'm excited about it because I live it, I breathe it, and I know exactly where to go. I'm like, we're going to make this, we should do this. Have you talked to these people? And it really makes it a lot of fun to bring in and solve these pieces and get them going because it really adds life for the long run.
I think you just bring in hope for a field
Right?
that is probably. I'm just
I
visualizing
like
this.
that.
We're all just like slowly dying inside in these jobs, in some of our roles, and then it's just like this breath of fresh
I mean,
air.
it could be someone's 10th hat in a museum, right? Like you were saying, it could
Mhm.
be, it's that afterthought. Of course, we've got some spoons and a mug. We're good. We're good in the shop. And I help connect all those dots to go bigger and get people. happy to come back to that store, and it can become like there, especially for locals, to come back and get excited about shopping and supporting the local economy, and then supporting the museum. We all need some more earned revenue nowadays.
I would love you to take that point further and make the pitch, which I know you do all the time. But I know one place I used to work at just got rid of their gift shop and
Mm,
transformed that space. So, as museums really think through funding, revenue streams, and possibly getting rid of their gift shops or
Yeah.
downsizing their gift shops, why do you think they should be investing more? You gave a really good point there with the local economy. So, I would love to
mm,
take that a
Yes.
little further.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, when it comes to stores, when you're looking at that local economy, those dollars rotate in that economy far more when it's that local piece that you're adding to the shop. And then stores can bring, on average, from like 5 to 25% of your overall revenue for a museum. Imagine up 25. Some even
dang.
more. Yeah, which I don't think people talk about enough, the possibility you can have in that space and what it does to lessen the weight on everybody else. And when it comes to the stores, having that engagement, having that piece where you can connect with a community, you're showing what you have in your store reflects your community and it's noticed. So when you're talking about community engagement, it shouldn't end in your exhibits, it should extend into your store also.
Where do you see, sorry, this is putting you on the spot a little bit, but community engagement happening in museum stores? So my
Mhm.
thought initially goes to like consignment pieces. Is that the only way, or is there other ways that there can be community involvement? And I guess
Yeah, I could see consignment pieces, maybe local art, local makers, but you could also have even events in the store. Maybe you're known for your pottery in the shop. How are these pieces made so people can appreciate the amount of work it takes to purchase that item that maybe it's a little higher price than your general Target item, Amazon item, but these are made by hand and be able to appreciate that work in store. And also just connecting it to, I like to have artists, staff, store staff, anybody else in staff, say what they love in the store. This is my favorite book that I'm reading right now.
Staff
This
pick.
is, yes, staff picks, right? Don't we love
Yes.
reading that and going like, oh, I think I should definitely pick that up now. Whether it's like the little stories that you hear about the uh the jewelry maker, you're like, he is a hoot. You should definitely buy this. She has a great time. These are actually handmade. Each bead is made by her. It makes it so much more real, right? And adding that engagement and that personal touch. People are talking about AI all the time. But then I see that big swing back of actual humanity in your store. And I think that's what really makes it powerful there.
And touching on that too, what is the role that you see interpretation playing in a gift shop?
Mm. Really, I think it's hand in hand.
Mhm.
Because if you don't understand the interpretation that's going on, it's really hard to bring that product mix in. You're hitting it and missing it. I've had that happen to me where I haven't been able to talk about the interpretation. It's been so busy, hadn't gotten to that even in a museum. And then you get the products in, and that's totally not what they were going for. That's not,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference to work hand in hand to get that interpretation piece and bring that in. And again, it's like that working holistically. You know when something's wrong as a shopper, even though you might not know exactly what,
Mhm.
but it's a lot of the times that piece.
Can I ask you a question about food in gift shops?
Shoot.
Because I feel like I always one of my favorite things is I love the astronaut food.
The freeze dried one?
Neapolitan.
Yes. I
Yes.
actually just found a astronaut ice cream sandwich in my pantry the other day from God knows where.
For
What kind of
survival.
yeah, right? Yeah, like, what kind of in your ideal world, like, what's, like, the right mix of different kind of objects and price points, and where does the right mix lay?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a little different for every museum,
Mhm.
but I think it should match with your overall museum's goals.
Mm.
So if maybe you're a book heavy museum, you're looking at, maybe you're more book heavy, but maybe you're a botanical garden and you have beautiful, like the Huntington has your orange marmalade made from their own oranges there in the store.
Love
pieces like
that.
that. So you're hitting the mission, you're hitting an actual piece of the space that you're taking with you. And when it comes to prices, not all of them are going to be bestsellers, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Not all of them are going to make a lot more money, but it's being able to know how to balance that all out. Like something might have a really great margin, something you might keep low so the kiddos have something to grab, or you want to keep something at $1.80 something, so it's nice even $2, no change with tax. And
Mhm.
that's the important part of that item. So it really depends on your mix, but I think step back and look at what your values, your missions are about. There's too many stores I walked in there. The museum's all about environmental sustainability, and then you come in the store and there's none of that. Or maybe it's about diversity, and you go in the store and it's just generic stuff that you find everywhere else. So really having it match, I think that is more important than just having a standard mix.
Even going off the price points, right? So
Mhm.
another area where you probably got involved with in working with different people in museums would be education and like school trips and
Yeah.
visits, like having that right price point, having the right items for again, I'm thinking back to my time where I have all the kids in the gift shop being like, I have $5 to spend. I want to buy them. Like that's $10.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anything you can speak towards like also working with education and making this part of the field trip experience because all the kids want to go to the
Yeah.
gift shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having that, it's so nice to have those pieces that they can get. And the store doesn't, that education doesn't feel almost guilty, bad sending them in a shop that they can't even shop in when they're excited to go in there. I know I was ready when I was a kid. Money in hand. I was like, I will find the best thing
Yeah.
in here for me.
For $5.
Exactly. A work of art for $5.
Yes.
Having those pieces and working with your like vendors. So look, I need this one thing, something this space that'll work. Hopefully doesn't make loud noises to bother your staff or things like that. But that hits those spots and they can actually enjoy shopping. And maybe a lot of schools aren't going into stores. They're skipping that altogether. What can you do to have them buy like a little bag of items, like pre-selected items they can purchase beforehand? So they can just buy it before they even come to the museum, and you can hand them out afterward.
Cool idea for an add-on. That's so smart.
Yeah.
Even birthday parties.
Yeah.
Birthday parties.
And if you put
Yeah.
that branded stuff in there, I'm sure you agree with this, Melody. They're taking that home. They're showing their parents. They're showing their
Mhm.
friends. Oh,
Mhm.
look what I got at this museum. It's marketing.
Absolutely. And also, I'm gonna say on that part, all that fun stuff for little kids isn't just for little kids. All the stuff that I love to carry that maybe someone would think this is for an 8 to 10-year-old. It's millennials buying it. You're talking about the cute knittables, the adorable erasers,
Mhm.
but these stationary items, and then all those nostalgia pieces, right? We remember having that sticker that was too fancy to use, so you saved it for that right time.
We are laughing because we just had a discussion about stickers in the last thing we were filming and how both I was like, or
Hoarding them.
Yes, yes, exactly that moment. Yeah, I still get that.
Mhm.
But those pieces are also like for millennials, and that's what I love about. I write a column also on trends, and I love writing about this for like general retail too because it affects the stories also, like having like what Gen Z's looking for, what millennials,
Mhm.
Gen X, boomers, everyone's looking for something.
so what is one or several pieces of advice you would give to someone that is starting off in the field or that and is looking to, do museum gift shop or just in general, the value of museum gift store work? What is your advice to job seekers?
I'd say too, I look so much to you guys, honestly. Your work informs so much of that. Too, writing down your wins, looking at your value like beyond what you're doing and what people might place that value on it. You have to put the value into it, right? You get to curate what you're doing and how you talk about it. And I think that's huge to be able to learn early on. It's such a skill and it's not taught to enough people. You don't, it just seems like day to day work to you, right? But you're actually changing people's lives. You're changing the way people interact with a museum when you're working at the museum gift shop, when you're working at the front desk, when you're welcoming people in.
Gosh, what a great note to sort of round out this conversation. And I think one of the biggest takeaways beyond like we should value front of house, gift store workers more is how many, I think you would agree with this, Elin, transferable skills you have, and also just skills in general, museum related skills that I hope people working on their resumes that have worked in these jobs or going to work in these jobs remember how to state all this, because this is absolutely true. You are embedded in almost every single role in a museum. And I cannot thank you enough for really highlighting that. Elin, any
Thank you
last
so much.
thoughts?
Yeah, I think, the transferable skills and remembering that you don't just, and I'm putting air quotes around just, you don't just work in a gift shop. That is a huge part of the museum and a huge part of a visitor experience, and you are shaping that and driving that. And then I think a hope that I have too is that as museums are hiring, look to your frontline staff for these higher level roles, because these are people that know and love your institution and your brand and are so connected to what the visitor wants, how they experience your space, that it's such an invaluable resource that somebody coming from the outside would have to take time to learn.
Last thought. Oh my gosh, I know there's so many things with this, but at its core, if you want people to stay, right? You were mentioning a lot of places are having trouble keeping frontline staff, value them, include them in conversations, provide avenues for professional development, support. That's not a lot. That's like baseline things, but really that would make a huge difference. And we're creative fields, right? So I think there's also some ways that we can really think about doing better to incorporate these roles into the fabric of museums even more, or recognizing that they are really so much a part of all the work that we do. Any final thoughts, Melody, before we sign off and send you on your way and just daydream about going to museum gift stops
Yeah.
instead of what we need to do next?
I'd say your museums, you're losing out if you're not tapping into the front of house, gift shop, all this staff. Like you both said, it's such a treasure trove, and it's right underneath your nose. Start with them.
How can people find out about you, work with you, learn more about your business?
Yeah. Check out my website. It's melodycabanconsulting.com. I'm always updating there. Check out my LinkedIn. Always posting something there. I've got an opinion. It'll go on there.
We love it.
Love it.
And we're just
Please reach out.
Yes, Melody's great. So give her a follow, give her a like, reach out. If you have a gift store that needs some strategy, some thought, some energy, hope behind it, she's your gal. Yay. Well, thank you all for joining us today, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to Curate Your Career. We hope today's episode gave you some ideas, encouragement, or at least a little bit of sanity for your museum career journey.
If you love what you heard, the best way to support us is to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with a fellow museum professional who might need it.
And don't forget, you can connect with us, send questions, or share your story at curateyourcareerpod@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram at Curate Your Career Podcast. Don't forget to fill out our mailbag form and share your questions that might be featured on a future episode.
All right, now go take one small action toward the career you actually want. So don't just survive your museum job, curate it one step at a time.